It is 54 years as an independent country unitary state of Trinidad and Tobago. 31st of August, and it will be independence, so happy independence to you. We are looking this morning at a number of issues, and it's for a while we've been observing, and we talked early in Brunch about the situation in Haiti. As you know, after the violence in 2008, those riots were protesting the high cost of living, and a series of hurricanes then hit the country in August and September, killing hundreds and displacing hundreds of thousands. Then came the devastating earthquake in January 2010. UN peacekeepers were sent to Haiti to assist. Many came from Nepal, which had just endured a major outbreak of the cholera disease. It was in October 2010, just 9 months after the earthquake, a cholera epidemic hit Haiti, killing over 10,000 people. Well, this is a major situation that got the attention of the world. So in 2010, lawyers with the Institute for Justice and Democracy in Haiti organized 5,000 cholera victims and their families to seek redress within the UN. But in 2013, the Office of Legal Affairs rejected their claim as not receivable. In January 2015, a ruling on the case by a U.S. court said that the UN could block lawsuits established by the 1946 International Convention, which made them immune to prosecution. That we have heard before. A second court appeal in New York this year upheld the lower court's ruling dismissing the lawsuit. This is something that is very uncomfortable for a lot of folks to accept, because you cannot have a situation where it is proven. And proven, yes, it was proven before, but the UN just admitted culpability in the cholera epidemic in Haiti. Let me bring in my guest who knows this situation intimately. He is a director of Radio Soleil in New York. He is a broadcaster, Haitian national, and one of the strongest advocates who has been looking at this situation understandably from the beginning. Ricot Dupuy, how are you, my friend? Good morning to you.
Good morning, my friend. Hanging in there.
It is good to have you here. Live radio does what it does, and we know that because we press on. You are the program director and actually a director up at Radio Soleil, so you understand we have done this many times. You just go through it. We laid out for our listeners, I don't know if you heard earlier, laid out the situation to our listeners as it relates to the 2008 violent protest that went on there, followed by the series of hurricanes, followed by the earthquake of 2010. Went into the situation of the UN peacekeepers coming out of Nepal, going in there, and then 9 months later on, we find out there's a cholera epidemic. The UN rejected the claim made by the people. That's the Office of Legal Affairs rejected the claim of the Haitian people. The U.S. Circuit Court picked it up, and they ruled that the UN, according to the 1946 Convention, they are beyond prosecution, immune to prosecution, as it were. There was a ruling that was upheld. That ruling was upheld as recent as August 8th. This must be very troubling and disappointing to you.
Absolutely, not only to me, but to certainly to the whole nation, and certainly to people throughout the world that are witnessing, in my view, one of the greatest crimes ever committed. I mean, you just lay out the long list of sufferings of Haiti, and we don't have time to go into that. For the UN to commit this, and I'll be very frank. I'm not prepared to go that far to as saying that this was done on purpose. But I should make it very clear at start. A huge number of Haitians believe this did not happen by chance.
You mean the cholera situation did not happen by chance?
Yes, I'm not prepared to go that far, but I'm telling you, I'm on the verge of becoming a minority among Haitians, believing this is part of a master plan. Because the crime is so, it's unbelievable. Because, and let me tell you right now, there was a report that came out just 2 weeks ago that says that after all this, after all the denunciation, after experts have found out that the UN is definitely the source of the cholera outbreak in Haiti, they found out that up until 2015, just last year, the UN continue with the process of throwing feces and other waste into the river. I mean, can you believe this? This is a report that came out just last week, and the UN kept secret until they were forced, because they were outed, to come out with some sort of acceptance.
And let us just make something really clear here, Rico. When Rico refers to throwing feces in the water, because cholera is also caused by eating food or drinking water contaminated with a bacteria from humans, right? It releases a toxin in the intestine that produces severe diarrhea. That is the cholera we're talking about. So to continue dumping feces in the water, which filters back into the Haitian people, that is one of the reasons there is suspicion that this was deliberate.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is feeding into this theory that was there well before, but now it seems to me they have no choice but believing that this is part of a plan. How do you do this? We're talking about just last year, 2015. Nothing was done, and in fact, they continue to throw fishes and other waste into the Artibonite River. So that is the reality. But the UN has been spinning its wheel for a number of years. It took them 5 years to come to this situation now, where they somehow accept responsibility for this. But there has never been any doubt by anyone. UN own investigators look into this and concluded there's no other rational explanation for this.
Well, this is what I find really amazing, Ricot Dupuy, because the UN statement admits guilt to be and it carefully protects itself by saying this. I'm going to read exactly what the statement said. They are saying the UN had become convinced that it needs to do much more regarding its own involvement in the internal outbreak of cholera, in its own involvement, from what everyone is saying, as a result of the soldiers coming out of Nepal, where they just dealt with this kind of situation. That may be the cause of the problem, not just being involved in it.
Exactly. So they're not saying what that involvement is. We all know the whole world. I mean, this is theater of the worst kind. I mean, the whole world knows what that involvement is. But for them to stop dancing around the subject and admit that they were somehow involved. How you involved? It's either you involved or you're not involved. You cannot be somehow involved. You understand? It's either you introduce cholera in the country where it was not for over 100 years, and that's clear. You see, this thing started in 2010. Some 2 weeks before the Nepalese came to the country. There was, not for 2 weeks, the whole summer, there was an outbreak of cholera in Nepal. And these people came there like sometime in October 2015. And 3 weeks after they came in, and this started. And so, the timeline is very, very clear. It has always been very, very clear. There has been no doubt in anyone's mind that it was. Even the UN had no doubt. The UN had no doubt. The UN knew exactly what they were doing. But they were dealing with oppressed, exposed, weak people, so they thought they could get away with it. So that's the reality. In the process, in the meantime, over 10,000 people died, and in my view, that is a very, very conservative estimate. Hundreds of thousands, got infected, and we really don't know what is really the extent of this thing. This is unbelievable. So that has set a precedent that the UN find extremely, extremely dangerous, because it might take really, we're talking about tens of billions of dollars to clear this.
Now, this is something that I find very interesting. Ricot Dupuy is my guest. He is the program director of Radio Soleil in New York City, Haitian, and one of the most eloquent advocates for the Haitian people. And we are dealing with the UN's admission to culpability in the cholera that has devastated Haiti and taken the lives of more than 10,000 people. You speak of compensation, because compensation at the end of the day is something that is being denied by this court ruling. I do want to find out about the court ruling, but before I do that, first of all, the claim was made to the UN. They rejected that out of hand. My curiosity here is just to understand an international organization like the UN, how they came under the U.S. jurisdiction. In other words, this was taken to the U.S. court, and it is the U.S. court that ruled. How did that come about?
This has to do with the agreement that was entered into by the UN and Haiti. And that guides that particular agreement, but I understand also all agreements that the UN forces have with host countries, whereby if there are any legal actions against the UN, the host country, because the UN is located in the United States, that's what gives them, if not the obligation, but at least the possibility or the competence to challenge whatever legal actions against the UN. When I say that, if not the obligations, because I don't know that the United States is obligated to do this, they doing it willingly, in my view, and for reasons I can explain to your listeners. Jonathan Katz, excuse my language, who's the number one person behind this, is the journalist from the Associated Press, who, when he became informed of this thing, of the possibility of the UN bringing cholera in Haiti, he went to investigate that, and he found all the evidence and exposed the UN for what it is. He went there near the Artibonite River and found the conditions and exposed them, and the UN had nowhere to hide. So, and he started the process. So he documented just about 2 weeks ago that based upon his own findings, the members of the UN he's spoken to, they told him that the UN was willing to come clean on this because they know it was a farce. They became the whole world was laughing at them. They became a laughing stock. So they would say, let's put an end to this masquerade. Let's admit it. But Jonathan Katz has documented that it was the United States that told them, hey, wait a minute, don't do this. You cannot admit this.
Why would that be the case? Why would the United States tell the UN that you don't want to admit to what is clear, what all the evidence point to?
Well, the reality is that the UN is the United States. The UN is a smoke screen for U.S. actions in the world. Whenever they want to give whatever programs they're having overseas the veneer of international support, they do it via the UN. So whenever the UN is exposed, it is the United States that is exposed.
I got you.
The UN doesn't do anything without the clear consent of the United States. That is the reality. In fact, well, why did the UN go to Haiti? We did not need the UN in Haiti. We didn't ask for the UN in Haiti. And in fact, when the Haitian government, the Aristide government, when they realized they were threatened by a bunch of rebels supported by the United States, because they did not want Aristide, because Aristide was too nationalistic for them. So they organized this. They supported this group. And when Aristide realized that he was really threatened, Aristide called upon the UN as a member of the United Nations to come and help put an end to this. The UN would not. They waited when the rebels got control. That's when they decided to go to Haiti.
They went to Haiti after the rebels took control. Listeners, in case you just joined us, we are talking about our sister nation. Haiti is what we're talking about. We're talking about the cholera epidemic there that killed over 10,000 people. We're looking at it this morning with my guest, because the UN, after admitting that they are culpable in this situation, at least in part, they say. The matter was taken to the U.S. court. The U.S. court ruled that the UN under the 1946 agreement could not be, they were immune from prosecution. Folks held out that ruling would be overturned. It was not overturned. It was upheld. Hence the reason we're looking into this now, because the question is compensation for over 10,000 Haitians and redress if there is anywhere else we can go. We are in the area of the U.S. court ruling, as I said, that the UN cannot be sued, and it was upheld. I got a question for you here. Can this matter be taken anywhere else? I know you've got 90 days, not you, but the attorneys have 90 days in which they can appeal this to the U.S. Supreme Court. Do you see that making any difference?
I think they will. I think they will. Even though the UN has basically, for all practical purposes, admitted responsibility for this, but in the absence of a court ruling that mandates the terms of a solution and establish a way to solve this, they're going to continue to spin their wheel. Absolutely. So that there goes the importance of a court action. So the lawyers, the Haitian lawyers, there's a battery of lawyers, Haitian lawyers, and other lawyers in the international community who think that this must be stopped. So they will have no choice. The Haitian community and the black community, the world will continue to put pressure on this group to take it to the Supreme Court. So I think it's going to go there.
Well, it can go to the Supreme Court unless the UN provides some remedy that's accepted by the Haitian people.
But as I said, the feeling is that in the absence of a court ruling that clearly states that the UN, you are wrong, and this is the reparation that whatever, they're going to continue to spin the wheels. They will not invest the money that is needed to do this. Already they're telling us it will take up to $40 billion to solve this, which is like almost 5 or 6 times the budget they have for all the peacekeeping missions in the world. I mean, just to give you an idea of what this is unbelievable. So this has changed the UN. This has removed all credibility the UN has ever had. The UN has never had any credibility at all. As I said, it's an organization that's there to do the work of the United States for them. And so to come back to the point that I raised, Jonathan Katz said that the UN would have come clean, and the United States said, no, you cannot do this. This is exposing us too much, because the United States is the main contributor. So if they have to spend $40 billion to do this, the U.S. feels that close to 70 or 80% of that money is going to come from them. And they're getting hell already from the Republicans who are saying that we don't need the UN. We're too exposed in the UN. Of course, we know that's they don't believe that. The UN is the best thing the U.S. has ever had, because they can always get the veneer of international support with the UN. So they need the UN.
It legitimizes.
The United States would have to be in 100 countries at the same time. So have the UN do it for them is the best arrangement possible. So it's the hypocrisy of the Republicans when they say, for example, well, we don't need the UN. We can redirect all the money we spend in the UN. No, they would not have it. Would not have it any other way. But it's politically correct to say that we don't need the UN. We don't need the UN. So the powers that be here, they say, well, you cannot do this. We already have problems with Congress. Where we're going to find this money? So that's why the UN would not come clean for a long time. Now, Ban Ki-moon is reaching the end of his mandate. He doesn't want this to be his legacy. He knows he has become the laughing stock of the world. So he really wanted to put an end into this, but he was definitely challenged by the United States. That's what Jonathan Katz is reporting.
That is the backdrop to that situation. You believe it will go to the Supreme Court? We will wait and see what happens with that. Ricot Dupuy, my friend from New York City, Radio Soleil, he is, as I said, Haitian, and the one who is on the top of this is one of the major champions, the source of information for the diaspora, as a matter of fact. Ricot, I want to move away from that just for a moment, or move on, not just for a moment, and look at something that has been a problem for a long time, continues to be a problem. This question of elections. Elections are due for October 9th. How is that looking? Because this thing has gone through every sort of machination you can think about. All kind of crazy things have gone on here, coming on the heels of a very difficult period for the Haitian people. How are things looking for the election of October 9th in the context of the representation, the participation, and free and fair elections?
Well, instability, political instability. This is what we are made of, and this is not happening by chance. This is created. This is encouraged. Whenever we have attempted to establish stability in our system, some foreign forces would do whatever they have to do to stop it. And that is the reality. So at this point, nobody knows whether or not elections will be held in Haiti in October. That is the wish, that is the hope, or official pronouncement saying that, well, it's irreversible. We will have elections in October 9th. In October 9th. First of all, I'm saying not only there's no guarantee that there will be elections will be held, there is no guarantee, even after elections are held, the voices of the people will be respected.
I looked at this as a topic this morning, Rico, because in Trinidad and Tobago, you and I normally would talk in New York, in the United States. I brought it into this conversation in Trinidad and Tobago because folks are not as clear, or may not be as familiar with what has gone on there. But briefly, the election, you say the stability is encouraged. Elaborate on that for me, please.
Well, you know how many coup d'etat Haiti has had in its history? 210 years of history. It's about a little bit less than 40 coup d'etat. The toppling of established government, of elected governments. Because and the roots of that is really the independence of the country. It took the United States almost 100 years to recognize the independence of Haiti. They never wanted an independent Haiti. For all the reasons we can understand, the signal that's sent to the rest of the world, to the slave-owning countries and to the south of the United States, where slavery was rampant. So, in fact, after the Haitian independence, they instituted a regime of terror against the black slaves in the south, which was unbelievable, because they said, well, if you dare repeat the Haitian experience, that's what's going to happen to you. And again, they instituted an embargo, an economic embargo against Haiti after independence. That is of the worst kind, worse than the harshest one now, which is the embargo against Cuba. And Haiti had money. Haiti could not find whatever it needed for developments, because all the Western countries colluded to make sure that they crush the Haitian experiment. So it's not by chance that Haiti is where it is. And again, it's by chance that Haiti is just a few miles away from Florida, and it is in the condition that it is. That is the wish. So that instability is nourished, and it's going to continue until the situation of the world is changed, the political reality of the world is changed.
How much of this, in conclusion, Rico, how much of this, if any at all, I mean, we understand what the backdrop is as to why the instability was encouraged, as you just articulated, but what role is the possibility of, $120 billion in oil in Haiti, which will make it a reserve that's even larger than what is in Venezuela? What role is that playing in this, if any?
Well, the U.S. and friends of the U.S. in Haiti got together to topple Aristide twice. And one thing Aristide said that is very, very clear, and I will answer the question you asked me. Haiti is not a poor country. Haiti is an impoverished country. Haiti is filled with resources. Our mountains, below our mountains, it's gold. It's all kind of riches, and the powers that be want to own that. They don't want them to belong to Haitians. And any president, any elected person that has attempted to use Haiti resources for the needs of Haiti has had a terrible end.
We will watch and see whether this continue, how it plays out after the elections. I will be getting back in touch with you, even though I understand what you're saying. Things can, even though the will of the people is either enacted or ignored, at the end of the day, folks will do what they want to do, but we will keep watching it. My brother, it's good to hear you after such a long time.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for having me.
I thank you so much. You have a wonderful day. Ricot Dupuy, who is the program director and a director of Radio Soleil in New York City, joining us this morning to speak of our sister in the Caribbean, Haiti. It's currently 1 o'clock, make that 11 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning from 107.7. This is Brunch. We're having it with a different flavor, but we bring it back home. We come back to Trinidad and Tobago, and we'll be speaking to Michael Seals, who is the new president of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Social and Welfare Association. A number of issues on the block. Of course, the issue is crime. When we return inside Brunch.